Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. I just read a very, very bad, very horrible write-up about Ryback of the WWE having backstage heat because he doesn't like doing press segments or autograph signings, that be, hanging out with the fans and things like that. Honestly, if WWE didn't like Ryback, they wouldn't put him on pay-per-view. Honestly, like, you can be under contract with WWE and you're going to make your minimum size guarantee, but if you want to make any kind of real money with WWE, you have to be being booked on the shows. And Ryback for the past year has been a big name in WWE. You can say that, like, it's kind of fucked up and it's kind of weird that they've been trying to build somebody as a star and he hasn't had a win on a WWE pay-per-view in months. I believe the actual only time he's had a win on pay-per-view this year is when he beat Ryback at Payback, I believe, as the show was that. But if WWE didn't want to push Ryback, they wouldn't push him. But he's one of those guys that has moved up to the top of the food chain of the WWE. He's a guy that can be. I apologize. He can be one of those guys that's booked in some sort of a main event on Monday Night Raw and looked at as a guy that could have a chance to actually win the big one. If you can remember back to last year. He filled in for John Cena at Hell in the Cell, and then they had the rematch as the first Monday Night Raw of the new year, where he fought in the TLC match for free on Monday Night Raw, in a great match, and it was believed that he really could win that match, and it didn't really make sense that Ryback would go on and fight The Rock at the Royal Rumble, but people were able to put that on the back burner because they sort of said that, WWE hasn't made a star in a long time, and they really had a chance to make one right there. You can scratch your head at a few other things that, he went to his first WrestleMania and he did the job to Mark Henry, which really didn't really make any sense because they ended up, doing the Mark Henry retirement angle after that and all that sort of crap. But I don't know. I really think that Ryback, even though he's not getting his wins on pay-per-view, I think he is, working his way up to becoming that star for the WWE. I think that, his heel turn is what it is. But I think, honestly, once they realized that they turned Ryback babyface, that he's got money written all over him, people loved him last October. People loved him all the way up into the point where he just sort of turned heel on John Cena, and it didn't really make sense. And they were able to look past it for a little while, thinking that he was going to have sort of like a Shawn Michaels style heel turn where he'd fight Cena a few times, and then he would just go back to doing what he was doing before. That it was just about him trying to become the champion for the first time, and then he'd go back to destroying heels again. But I think him running out of gas and him turning babyface is the key to Ryback becoming that big star in the WWE, and I think it's going to happen sooner than later. And once they do that, I'm sure that Ryback will be pushed, back up to the top, and everything will be all right in the world. It's one of those things that now that they have no brand split, with Ryback having to appear on both shows, there is no sort of like moving up the food chain anymore. There's just those top level guys that are all over the place. But if there was that true Raw and there was that true SmackDown brand, I'm sure they would have moved Ryback over, and he'd be one of the guys, really destroying people, really running through and just becoming a star over on SmackDown before they can move him back over to Monday Night Raw as an established guy. It's one of those things that I don't like. I understand, they're trying to sell some tickets for the SmackDown shows, that SmackDown, got to the point where they just nosedived on the roster, and, they weren't being able to sell tickets to the house shows. They weren't being able to sell tickets to their other shows, so they had to put the Raw guys over there to try and, balance them out. And, I don't know. If they were doing that, I can easily see Ryback, being a World Heavyweight Champion over there, or fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship against guys like Del Rio. And I really think that's one of the reasons why SmackDown now is looked at as a show that you really don't have to watch on TV. It's just because all the SmackDown guys are involved on Monday Night Raw. And I know they used to give us like the SmackDown recap, brought to you by Skittles or some shit like that. But now you don't even need to watch SmackDown, because instead of just having that one clip that they would give us every week, now every time any guy from SmackDown comes out, they know we're not watching, so they're trying to pump as much stuff into our heads so we know what's going on a show we don't watch. But I think Ryback's all right. I've seen stories written about these kind of guys like all the time, just because you need something to write about. Everybody can remember the stories about Jack Swagger having the big head after he lost the World Heavyweight Championship, thinking he was the bigger star than he was. And there'll be another story about somebody else after this. So it is what it is.